Can you press the timer?
You're good.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PT on Ice Weekly Show. I'm Jessica Davis, representing the Performing Arts Division for ICE. I had absolutely the worst commute here ever. I guess everybody in Pittsburgh forgot how to drive in the snow. So I'm starting a little late, but I'm here. So I'm in this lovely studio. Check out the snowflakes. It's really pretty. All right, today we're talking about knee pain in dancers. So knee pain is quite prevalent. If you look at the literature, as with a lot of studies on dance injuries, a lot of it is underreported. It averages between 7 to 8% for knee reported injuries, and then it can go up to 22% to 30%. The 22% is listed for classical ballet, but it can also go up to 30% in modern dance. And the reason for that is the choreography. So in modern dancing, they're doing a lot more lifting, and they're also doing a lot of choreography where they're landing on their knees. So as with anything when it comes to working and evaluating your dancers, you want to make sure that you are properly considering all variables when you're doing your examination, because there's a lot of referral that can happen to the knee. So when you're doing a good subjective exam, you've got to get an insight as to what is aggravating this dancer's knee pain, what is easing it, when did it begin, and when you're doing your exam, you've got to clear the lumbar spine, because as we know, that can refer to the knee. You've got to clear the hip. You have to consider adverse neuromechanics. I just treated a dancer a few days ago who had bilateral knee pain and had it, young kid, for 2 years. So, you know, one of the things that you want to consider with that would be juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. That had been ruled out in her case, but what we ended up finding was it was adverse femoral neural tension. That reproduced her exact knee pain. So you always want to ask the patient, is this your exact symptom? So I was able to create it, I treated it, and I used my test-retest model to know that that indeed was the right direction to move with this patient. So when I'm covering this today, I want you to keep in mind it all comes down to your examination, right? And using that test-retest model. Just to kind of go over a little bit of the research. So Journal of Sports Medicine in 2013 published a great study examining knee injuries in dancers. And what they found out with the number one variable, and this is pertaining to ballet, of course, was forced turnout. So I am going to cover that again today, just to show you as it pertains to the knee, what an impact that makes in both static and dynamic postures. And the other thing that was interesting was inadequate physical training. So when you look at, and I looked at, if you look at a bunch of the studies that are out there regarding this, a common problem that's surprising with dancers is they lack strength. They lack endurance. And that's a shocker because of how many hours they're spending in dancing. And you would think that they were going to be very powerful, but what they are when you're assessing those specific muscles that we know contribute to knee injuries: core strength, proximal hip strength, weakness. So all of those things are variables that are surprising, but we have to address them. And they also found that inadequate neuromuscular control of the trunk was directly correlated with knee injuries. Well, we know that. We know that pertains to other knee injuries as well, not just specific to the dance population, but there you go again, it's showing up in the dance world. So they also, this was interesting, they examined thigh torque and vertical height jumping, and they found that dancers who had poor thigh torque and they also did not have a good vertical leap, they had a longer lost time of dancing. So if they had an injury, it took them longer to recover. So this is something that we should be assessing when we're examining these dancers. Not only strength, but also the ability for them to leap high. So that was interesting, I found, but something that you have to address. Across the board, so cross conditioning for dancing is more of a newer concept in dance medicine, and you're going to find that a dancer may come in to see you and they're not going to be a big fan that you're asking them to do things that aren't necessarily in turnout, or they're not specific to their dance world. Well, one of the reasons is that there's a concern, because dancing is both an art and a sport, in terms of dancers or athletes as well as artists, they are very concerned about their aesthetic appearance and they're maintaining their proper lines. So this was awesome. They did a study and they examined directly that question. So they looked at the diameter of the thigh musculature before and after doing strength training with the dancers. And what they found was there was absolutely no evidence that doing cross training increased the girth of their thigh musculature in a way that a dancer would be concerned about. But it directly impacted their injury prevention and how they did and recovered from an injury. So that's something that you have to, when you're working with your dancer, you've got to cite the literature. You've got to tell them, you know what, this is not actually exactly accurate. When you're doing this cross conditioning, it's only going to make you better. It's going to prevent future injuries. It's not going to change your aesthetic appearance. So it's important that you do this. You've got to do it. You're not getting it in the dance world. You're not getting the kind of strength that you need, especially to have that long career. And that's what our goal is. We want to make sure these dancers dance for a long time. So other factors to consider with knee pain, specific to dance. So that's what I want to go over today, but I had to cover that because it was so important, I felt. So when you're looking at dancers, I want to go over turnout again. I know I covered it before, but I didn't cover it specific to the knee. So I'm going to have Amber demonstrate something for me. Okay, turn this around. Yes, let's go to the bar. Okay, so I'm going to flip that again. Okay. So Amber's going to show me, go ahead and show me first position, and I'd like you to do it improperly, how you see your students do it. Okay, so if you look at, this was interesting, if you look at the literature too, they also cite that one of the dancers' most common goals is to achieve perfect turnout. So this is a lot of the time when you see these young dancers, this is how they achieve turnout. Now look what happens at her knee. First of all, you've got to see, that doesn't look that great. See how her feet are pronated? And look at where her knee is in relation to her feet. And then you look up along the line. Go ahead and do a bad back, like what you also see. So they're gonna arch. She's quite technically strong, so she didn't do it. But that's typically what you'll see. Now, I want you to show me, Amber, in this position. You need a break. Can you do a demi-plie, please, in a bad turnout position? So when you work with dancers, don't forget, you need to know their lingo. It's very important that you're connecting with them. That also gives greater results. Now look at this. So if you can see her knee in relation, down, here we go. Look what's happening at her foot. That is not good to have long-term happening. Okay, come on out of that, Amber. Go ahead and show me correct first position achievements. Good. And I'd like you to do a demi-plie, maintaining proper turnout. So you can see her angle's improved here, and if you also look, for her, it's her feet as well. So she's not getting a lot of that plantar flexion. So if you think about knee dynamics, that's important. Now go ahead and come into parallel. So there was another research study that examined just doing a single leg stance squat, and they found it directly correlated, as we've seen in other knee injuries. Even though it's a dance population, you've got to assess in a parallel position. So can you just on one leg do a squat? Perfect. So she has pretty good mechanics. And this, you know what we're looking for. We're looking at the angle of her hip. What's happening here? We're looking, does she have any kind of valgus? And what's happening at her feet? Now, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and do it poorly. So kind of, yes. You will see this. You're going to see this a lot with your young dancers who don't have the proper proximal hip strength. They don't have core strength. And that hurts, doesn't it? It doesn't feel that great. Okay, come on out of there. Okay, so that's static examination. But what you need to do also is look at dynamically. So I want you, why don't we come out to center? Okay, so we need to assess how our dancers are jumping because landing mechanics are essential. So when they're landing, a common fault, of course, in addition to where the knee is in relation to the feet, is they're also not going to get their heels down. So I want to show you what I mean because you need to have your dancers demonstrate this for you. So go ahead and do a sauté for me.
I would one.
Yeah, yes. Good, very good. Okay, now I want you to do that again and land poorly, what you see some of your students doing. Go ahead. Okay, do you see what happened here? This is real world. This is what you will see. They're going to land in this type of posturing. Over time, this repetitive nature is going to contribute to patellofemoral knee pain. Come on out of there. Okay, I also want you to land and show me the bad heel positioning that we see often. Okay, look at this. She's not getting her heels down. Do you see that? So come on out of that. What happens with that is with repetitive movement, when they don't get their heels down, you're going to see that that's going to cause injuries. It's going to lead to improper like ground reaction forces over time. So we don't want to do that. We want to encourage our dancers to get their heels down. Now they may demonstrate that perfectly for you, but what you need to do is then assess it in single leg stance, because that changes the dynamics. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, so Amber, what I want you to do, go ahead and just do single leg stance, please. Okay, she kind of cheated there, which is awesome to see in real world. There she got her heel down. Do it again. Do it poorly now. So that's what you're gonna see, that little fumble, right? And often what you're gonna see, this is gonna develop when they have fatigue. So you may want your dancer, depending on the irritability, because you've got to assess the irritability of the injury at hand. If it's a low irritability and you feel the freedom to provoke it, you can take them and have them do a repetition, because you wanna see what happens with fatigue. When dancers get tired, they get a little bit lazy and they're not gonna land properly. So I also want you to show me, again, I want you guys to become familiar with the terminology. Go ahead and do a grand jeté, okay? I'm gonna come out here, and I want you to stick your landing. Stay. Okay. Look at how perfect that is. That's awesome. But you're not gonna see that often. Come on out of there. Now I want you to do it poorly. So I want you to show me the two that we discussed, like the weird knee one. Go ahead. So you gotta come around, have them stick. Not so great, is it? Come on out of there. Now show me not getting the heels down, the other thing that we're gonna see. Good. So see how she hopped? You'll see that. They will actually hop to stick their landing. So a lot of that has to do with not having the proper neuromuscular control. They don't have that core strength to maintain the position, so they're not going to land properly. So when you're treating your patient, if that is indeed what's provoking their knee pain, or you're seeing that faulty mechanics, you've got to address that in your therapy sessions. You have to have them do these activities. You've got to get creative and think about what kind of exercises can I do, might retrain this dancer to do this. Now, one other one I want to show you is a tour jeté, so you know, because a tour jeté is a really good one to see because it takes it in a different direction. So land properly on this one. Good. She corrected. Good. Okay, do it again. But that's good to see, because it's very hard. This is not an easy one because they're coming back. Good. Now go ahead and do it poorly. You got to come around, watch them land. Boom. There it is. Good. And go ahead and do it where you're getting that heel not coming down properly. Yep. See it? Yes. So you've got to know what you're looking for. If you don't see that, you've got to take a look and do it again. Repeat it. Feel comfortable with your lingo. You've got to connect with these dancers. If you tell them, you know what, I want to see you do a tour jeté, you're going to see a big smile on their face. They're going to be impressed. They're going to trust you. When you have that trust, you're going to have success in therapy. Bottom line, they're going to believe in what you're telling them, and they're going to respect what you do, and they're going to do what you ask, right? Okay, so that's just sort of some of the dance terminology and things that I wanted to go over to look for. But let's go over some of the exercises. So what will we do if we see these? How are we going to get these dancers better if we see these kind of mechanics? So if you have, one of my favorite things to work with is either a reformer or if you have a shuttle. Because what I like about that is the dancer can lay supine, and I don't have one here to demonstrate it, but I wanted to just talk about it. If you have them supine and you put them in first position and even parallel, and you work on demi-plie in that position, you teach them. Dancers are very visual. They know what to look for. If you teach them what to look for, say, hey, look, I want you to get your knee over your toe here. I want you to keep your arch in your foot so you're maintaining that turnout. I want you to really work it from your hip. You tell them these cues, then they're going to maintain that. You can do that double leg stance, single leg stance. You can also in that moment do jumping. You can have them do first position, double leg stance, in parallel, first position, and you can do single leg stance and have them do these activities. So they get really fatigued and they like to see that. One of the things we don't have here but is a mirror right now. But if you have a mirror, one of the things I like to do is put the dancer in front of the mirror, have them do what we demonstrated with the jumping, and have them see with their eyes what's happening with their lower extremities and say, look, I want you to do this, because they're going to see it and they're going to say, oh, I see it now. And they're used to, dancers in the dance world love looking at themselves in the mirror, and they obsess about it a little bit. So they'll connect with you on that level, and they will know, okay, you know what, I got to get this right. I've got to get my knee where it belongs. And then you take them into center. You can have them start at the bar where they have a little more stability, and then you move them to center, because center requires a lot more control. So another really fun exercise I just want to show you before I go today is, this exercise is awesome. And don't laugh, I had to use my kids' basketball, which apparently they left outside for like days. So it's really sad. But I know the timer went off, but I'm going to ignore that because I got to show you this exercise. How do I do that? I don't know how to turn it off. So anyway, I have a really scary basketball that people laughed at when I was walking downtown carrying this thing. But anyway, so what I love about this exercise is it combines core strength and hip strength. So awesome. Those are the two things we talked about that influence, in addition to, of course, other things. But here we go. So you get into a plank position. Okay, and you might have to help your dancer get into the right position. So if you bear with me here. You can use any kind of ball, okay? Of course, this is the only ball I had. I want you to put, Amber, scooch back, and I want you to put your foot up on the wall. Scooch a little forward. There we go. Okay, so what she's gonna do in this position is she's gonna, of course, maintain amazing core positioning, right? Not arching through her back, which she's doing great. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to go up and down with your leg. Up and down. Quick, 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 quick. So she's working on speed. She's getting her hip working. She's maintaining her core. So then, she can go side to side from this position. In and out, in and out, in and out. Yes, and you can even have her do diagonals.
Ooh.
Yes, and then the other way. Good. Yep, awesome. Okay, very good. Oh, I got a question from Avery. Do you ever unload them to do these movements with a harness? I don't have one, but I love that idea. That's a phenomenal idea. I love that. So if you have that in the clinic, what a great way to have them unloaded so you're not getting that ground reaction forces. You can control that and you can control the movement. But Amber, wasn't that exercise hard? Yes. You'll find they can't do that for very long, which is great. So yes, they're killer. It is absolutely killer, and they love it because dancers love to feel that killing kind of feeling. Okay, so hopefully you guys got some new things to discover about the knee. There's so much when it comes to the knee. It's very complicated, many variables at play, but don't forget to educate your dancers about the importance of cross-training. It's so important, and they don't know about it, or they feel a little bit not good about doing it, but you can show them the evidence that's out there. It's imperative. So you can really help them. All right, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.